And so when I started working with Sense of Place, I thought, well, this is my chance. I'm going to go find someone who's an orchardist or a farmer, and we're going to get them on stage, and we're going to all get to learn about what they do. And so I did what I usually do, which is at the end of the Sense of Place season, around spring, I would start reaching out and trying to contact people who maybe knew about things that I knew would be a good fit for Sense of Place. And I emailed some farmers, and I called some farmers, and I had friends email and call the farmers on my behalf, and I got crickets. And so that season went through, and I didn't get to have an orchardist or a farmer, and I thought, okay, next year, I'm going to gear up, I'm going to get them. So another season comes, springtime rolls around, Sense of Place is coming to a close. I start thinking about the next season, and I emailed some farmers, and I called some farmers, and again, nobody got back in touch with me. And I thought, I feel like I'm not that bad, and this isn't it's not that bad of a deal. What is going on? Why will they not get back to me? And I finally realized my ignorance in that I was reaching out to these people at literally the busiest time of year for them, which told me two things. One, I had a lot to learn, and two, this was even more important that we find a way to connect with them at the right time of year and get them here to Sense of Place. And so that fall, I made some phone calls, and this time people picked up. And I ended up connecting with Leslie Tamura and Adam McCarthy, who are here with us tonight. You guys may remember, we started with an event about pears called Grow a Pear. Thank you. That's theirs, not mine. You came up with that, didn't you, Adam? And we got to learn about this crop that if you know anything about the Gorge, we're kind of badass when it comes to pears. And that's worldwide. And we've got all kinds of unique things when it comes to pears here in the Gorge, including some pears that grow here and not in other places. And so it's a very special crop. And we learned about everything from if you pick pears when they're not ripe, which is what commercial growers need to do, how do you know when to actually pick them? And so we learned about the pressure test. We performed a pressure test on stage. We learned about beneficial bugs. We learned about the reality that these growers face where they can do everything right, do everything they need to for a full season, and then when it comes time to harvest their crop and sell it, they are price takers, not price makers. So you can do all that, and you have no idea what you will make at the end of the day, which is a pretty big risk. So that was our first talk. And in getting to know Leslie and Adam and other farmers, I started to learn more about family farms in the Gorge. So these families who have been here generation after generation after generation, committed to growing in this place, but also growing as part of the community. So many of them have been here for so many generations. You want this place to be healthy and happy because you're raising your kids here, and you want your orchard to survive another season. And so it's sort of a three-pronged stool for these family farms. They need to think about their profits, but they also need to think about the community and the environment that they're raising their families in. And it's unique here for us to have so many family farms. And so that, to me, was really special. I like this idea of generations of people who know this place so well. But I also started to hear rumors that things were particularly tough. And no surprise, farmers have not been that good at saying things are hard, but I was hearing it. So tonight, part of my hope is that we get to hear from a couple family farmers and learn more about one experience of many, and then understand the bigger picture of family farms in the Gorge, because we're so fortunate to have them. But before we get to Lisa and Ricardo, I want to tell you guys about Mount Adams Institute. You guys know that Sense of Place has been a program of Mount Adams Institute for about 6 years. And I came to Sense of Place in its 10th season. It was with another nonprofit at the time. And that nonprofit in that first season ended up shutting its doors, which meant that Sense of Place had no home, and it could have very well been done. That would be the end of it. And fortunately for us, Mount Adams Institute stood up and said, we would love to have them, even though we were a teeny tiny program compared to their big national level AmeriCorps programs. And so they took us in and they gave us a home. And that is why we continued to exist. And I was very grateful because this program meant a lot to me, and I hope that it meant a lot to other people. So MAI took us on, and they supported us, and I got to work with some amazing people, including Aaron Stanton, their executive director, who was supposed to be here tonight saying this, but he's conveniently out of town, so now I'm saying it. Which is, amidst all that growth and Sense of Place reaching its 15th anniversary, and Mount Adams Institute doing amazing work across the country. Some of you may recall that last season and into this season, they, because of changing in federal funding, had to lay off 60% of their staff. And then changes in AmeriCorps funding got hit again. And the retirement of staff and changing in staff, it just became not possible anymore. And so some of you may have seen that Mount Adams Institute announced they are ceasing operations effective December 2026, so which is a bummer. If Aaron was here, he would say, but Sense of Place is going to keep going. So Sense of Place will be carrying on, and I'm working with some smart people and advisors in this community who believe in me and believe in this program and want it to live. So Sense of Place is going to keep coming. But I think, thank you. As much as it sucks to have to share this announcement and that it happened, I think it's a good reminder of the fact that the stakes are real. And whenever you guys are here, I never want to be doom and gloom. I want you to come in and get to come together around curiosity and learning and hopefully having some fun. But this is a good reminder that outside forces that are bigger than us can sometimes affect the things in our community. And so it's worth it to pay attention and to stay connected like we're doing tonight. One of the things that I knew about at the start of this year, and I kept it in mind as I put this season together, is I went to an event with Gorge Grown, one of our local nonprofits, and their executive director shared something at that event that stuck with me. One of the things they were trying to do, which I think a lot of us are, is how do you bring people together who come from different backgrounds? And she said that we tested, they were trying to figure out, like, what's the statement that can link all these communities in the Gorge together? So she said, we tested dozens of statements, and the one that resonated most deeply across ages, backgrounds, and communities, from Goldendale to Cascade Locks, was this. So this is the quote that everyone liked. The Gorge was once self-reliant, and it could be again. So that was the thing that resonated with people, regardless of their background. And for me, that's very hopeful, that no matter where you live in the Gorge and your background, there is a sense of we are powerful as a community, and we can build that back up. And so as much as the news of MAI and some of what's coming out of the family farms is not what I like to hear, I hope that Sense of Place can offer, and stories like Lisa and Ricardo have for tonight can offer a sense of hope in the strength of our small community. I think it's pretty special, and I'm impressed each month when I come together with all of you. So I believe in that. I hope you do too. And with that, I want to say part of the reason we're strong, hopefully Alex can get the slide up, is because of our sponsors, which is a very varied group. I feel like we are very fortunate in that way. And I want to tell you a little bit about tonight. We're going to hear from Lisa and Ricardo, and for Q&A, we're going to rope in Leslie and Adam if they have things to add. And then I want to welcome out Lisa and Ricardo with a quote that Lisa shared that she liked. It says, and this is not from her, it's from Brenda Shep. I hope I pronounced that last name right. The quote goes, my grandfather used to say that once in your life, you need a doctor, a lawyer, a policeman, and a preacher. But every day, 3 times a day, you need a farmer. So welcome out Lisa and Bubsy. All right, that was longer than I usually have to do. Thanks, you guys. I hate putting you in a corner. So Lisa knows that this is coming. Yeah. So when I met Leslie and Adam, the first farmer who did take my call was Lisa. And that was very nice of you. And Lisa, after hearing what I was hoping to do, very kindly said, well, you know, I don't really have that many stories. Does anyone here know Lisa? Do you guys follow her Instagram? So cheer it if you think Lisa was lying about not having any stories. Lisa's got a lot of stories. So we're going to get things started by showing one of the stories that she shared on her Instagram account, Farmer in Odell, with one of the younger staff people at their Out on a Limb farm. Alex, are you ready for me? Okay. Box tags?
Yeah, those are bin tags that would go on every single bin before they go to the packing house.
Okay, there's Jackson, guys. Okay, so that's one of those non-stories that Lisa shared. So I want to get started. I have wondered, in that you have a little bug on the pear and you put it back on the tree, and I just need to know what was going on there.
Yeah, that was a little spider. So that pear had already gone in the bin, and a spider is a beneficial predator for the orchard. So I'm not going to give that spider to the packing house. I want that on my farm. He needs to stay around and eat some psylla.
We'll get to later some of the good bugs and the bad bugs. But maybe can you start, since this is family farms, will you take us sort of back in the line to where you first experienced farming as a kid?
Yeah, this could be a long-ended answer and winded. And just so everybody knows that the majority of my conversations right now are with a 3-year-old, so my vocabulary is not necessarily at the apex of where maybe I should be for my age.
I think you're going to be great.
So I have, it's a little bit of a complicated story. My last name is Perry. My husband's last name is Galvez. The Perry farm started with my great-grandpa out in the Pine Grove area, and I spent a little bit of time there. And so that was my first introduction to farm life. I rode around in the truck with my dad, and I could vividly remember the smells of that Ford 150 with like the, sewn, really rough fabric that was really popular back then, and air fresheners. And my siblings might think this is funny, but most farmers have a certain wave that they do when they're holding the steering wheel. And I'm still practicing that.
What was that? You were a 2-finger?
It's hard to explain. I mean, Adam, maybe it's just like this quick little flick. Okay. I'm still practicing. So, but I vividly remember riding around with my dad around the Pine Grove area, checking on different orchard blocks or hitting up the local gas station.
And so you had great-grandfather, grandfather, dad.
Correct.
Okay.
So I would be the 4th generation.
Yeah. Okay.
But my story gets a little complicated because we're not on that piece of land that my great-grandpa started. But ironically, my husband, who also has an excavation business, was the one who removed the trees that my great-grandpa planted. What was that, 2 years ago?
Yeah, we're coming up on maybe 2 years, maybe 3.
Why did you remove the trees?
The owner of the farm, the person that bought it from Lisa's family, was ready to change crops. And it's just ironically happened that my dad had already built up a rapport with this person, and we kind of became his main excavator guy, or excavator company. So
Okay.
in a weird way, I spend a lot of time on the Perry farm.
Got it.
Yeah, and it's nice for me because I have a reason to go back if I take him lunch or something like that, and I see the old farmhouse where I spent a good bit of my childhood.
And that was the Perry farm.
Yeah.
So that's your stepdad.
No, that's my
your-
biological dad. Yeah.
Okay. And that farm changed hands at some point.
Yeah,
Or-
correct. I mean, I was too young to really understand everything that was going on, but my dad struggled with alcoholism and mental health, and eventually the farm was lost. And I was way too young to know anything.
Yeah.
So the farm went up for sale, and it was an out-of-town person who purchased it, and he's been very gracious to let us come back and check things out, which I love. And it's just so ironic how it really has stayed
Yeah.
in not our daily life, but we talk about it frequently, and yeah. And those orchards, when you think about when they were planted a long time ago, it was huge spacing, and things are changing where we need to be more efficient. And so that was Bubsy's job, was to get rid of those old spaced out trees to make
To do something. new,
more efficient.
Got it. So help me understand now, a few generations back for your family here growing. How did you guys end up getting involved in all this?
Okay, so the picture here that you see is actually my great-grandpa Jack,
Okay.
and he came from Arkansas, and he was some kind of, in logging, he was in charge when he moved to Oregon of heating one of the schools, so he would go cut the logs and feed the boiler. So that was kind of what he did. And then my grandpa Calvin also was a logger, a tree feller for Hannell Lumber for many, many years. And he also was a farmer. He purchased my great-grandpa's farm from him, and Calvin is the person that we purchased our farm from.
But what's more weird, Sarah,
Yeah.
is everyone associates Calvin with me.
Uh-huh.
I knew Calvin before I knew Bubsy.
Okay.
And I mean, we look similar. We both walk fast. We both have the same get it done. Just don't talk to me.
Is this Peach Calvin?
Yeah, this is Peach Calvin.
Should we meet Calvin real quick?
Sure,
here?
that'd be great.
I didn't make that connection before. I'm sorry. Let me go down here and find. So-
Yeah, and Calvin gave us a run for our money. I mean, he would race me out to the peaches. He was he loved being first out there, right?
Okay, so this is your grandpa.
Yep.
On your mom's side?
Yep.
Okay, this is Calvin.
I would like the record to show that Calvin, how old are you? How old are you?
81.
81. Calvin, who is 81, has helped me pick peaches all day long. We picked over 1,000 pounds and have almost completed sorting and boxing the peaches. And when Calvin was supposed to be taking a break, instead what he did was pressure wash my car, check the oil, fill the fluid washer, windshield wiper, whatever, aired up my tires, and then proceeded to run errands for me while I continued packing fruit and getting other things done. So here we are. I don't even know what time it is, and we'll be here a while longer, but kudos to Calvin. What a trooper, and I could not have done this peach harvest without him. So if you see Calvin in the next few days, please give him a big pat on the back. I really appreciate this guy.
I like that he's not going to even, he barely wants to talk to you. He's like, let's get this done, and then we got to go back to peaches. Okay, so that's on one side of the family. And then tell me about Ricardo, Dad Ricardo.
Okay, so on my dad's side, they came from Mexico, from a place called Picuamo, and so I believe it was his older brother Hovil that came first to the United States, and they were working here for a while and probably saw that they had a way to better their lives, better themselves, and slowly but surely the rest of the brothers started coming. I think it was in the early 70s. My dad was around 14, and he said he left home and was making the trip to come up here to start his life as a man, I guess. That's what's pretty crazy.
And so he's working in orchards, and it's going well, I guess, because then he ends up being able to buy property from Calvin. That's how it worked?
No.
Oh, not that, okay.
So my family luckily landed at a place that is still a well-known family-owned farm. It's, I think it used to be called Wells and Sons. That's how I know it to be called. And they really took my family in, kind of showed them that they cared about them and showed them that they could move up within the ranks of their business. And slowly my uncles and my father did move up, and it became more of a friendship between the families. And I guess by the time I was around and old enough, they weren't around each other as much, but there was always a very mutual respect between the two families that was talked about, that my family appreciated the hand that Wells extended to them.
And then you two both grew up here. Happy 15th anniversary of of reuniting.
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
I have to say happy birthday to my youngest sister.
Okay.
Today's her birthday. And I left her birthday dinner 15 years ago early to go hang out with some friends who were going to come back in town.
Okay.
And somehow he got roped into it. Well, Andrew Halliday is the reason. And Bubsy and I were both the DDs. So that was 15 years ago tonight.
Okay. So this is like a date night for you, but with like 200 extra people.
Yeah, something like that. And this summer will be our 10-year wedding anniversary.
Nice. Congratulations.
Yeah, running a farm with your
farm, young kid, and working with your partner. So how did your guys' Out on the Limb farm come about then? I know it's tricky, but you're complicated.
Yeah, so my stepdad, and I have to give a huge shout out to the Cody family, because Cody is not my biological family, but that's my stepdad. And Glenn started, so May Street, let me step back. May Street, which is a very well-known street in Hood River, that's where Chuck and Fran had a small orchard. And they both worked outside jobs. She was a very well-known high school typing teacher. Okay, there's a few. And Chuck Cody worked at Diamond. So Diamond used to have a packing facility downtown. I'm so sorry that I don't remember the condo names.
The nice condos down sort of right below Double Mountain, those ones that have been being built for quite some time.
Yes, was part of the Diamond packing shed. So that's where farmers used to haul their fruit to. And Chuck, worked his way up and was eventually, forklift driver, truck driver. Glenn was telling me stories that he went to work for Diamond when they were a cannery. They actually canned pears here in Hood River, and he had to peel them. He said he didn't last very long at that job. Oh my God. Right. Okay, so Glenn, from a very young age, knew that he wanted to farm. I don't know why, because his other brothers are like, oh, no, thank you. This does not sound appealing to work 24 hours a day. So Glenn actually went to underwater welding school to finance his farm dream. So that's intense work, right? Like he worked in the North Seas, right? Yeah, this guy is a strong gentleman, and a gentleman. Mm-hmm. And he took my siblings and I moved up to his farm when I was 10 years old. And right from the get-go, we were out there moving water, hand lines and feeding the cows. I think the bull's name was Buttercup, something like that. And I loved it. I loved being outside. And growing up, we had a rule. We could go stay the night at a friend's house, but we had to be back at 8 a.m. to work the next day, mostly thinning, right? Because thinning happens during the summertime. But it was a really great combination, right, of work and play. And at that time in my life, I was very involved in organized sports. So we do mornings from 8 to noon, thinning or doing whatever. we'd always have a sit-down lunch inside, which I have fond memories of, right? Like sitting together as a family. And then the afternoon was kind of our free time until we had to go to the sports. And then luckily, our best friend lived right across the orchard. So my stepsister, who's the same age as I, we'd scurry on over there, have our giggly nights, and then be back to work the next morning.
So it sounds like that was with the Cody family. That's where you
Yeah.
cut your teeth and like really understood this egg thing for what it was, and
Yeah, and I
realized
so
you liked it.
appreciate that, because being able to work with my parents, you could see like why they were so tired, or like we learned to not ask for favors during frost season because you're just.
We'll talk more about frost season at
Yeah.
some point.
So the long story, Glenn is really the reason why I am farming. And
This was
yep, we got Sam, Lee,
so that's your stepdad in the
in
middle.
the
there.
middle. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's Fran and Chuck. And Fran only passed away a couple years ago, and she was actually the first person to introduce me to apple butter.
Okay, which don't let me forget, they brought apple butter for everyone who wants it. They brought jars of it. It's out there. So don't leave without some, okay?
Yeah, Fran would always bring up these big crock pots of apple butter, and just like at that time in my life, it really imprinted on me, that smell and the texture, and I just love it.
How do you make apple butter?
It's very cooked down applesauce.
Oh.
Yeah,
Is
just
there
like a thicker?
butter in it? You guys, I'm sorry.
No, that's a common question. It's just cooked down much further than applesauce.
Like a balsamic reduction, but for applesauce.
Great
okay.
comparison. Great
Balsamic
comparison.
reduction. Okay. Nah. Okay. So back to out on a limb.
Oh yes. I
Okay.
remember. Okay, so my stepdad, we were farming about 180 acres, and my stepdad was really smart in this sense, is that he picked up acreage, leased land down in Hood River, some in Odell, additional in Parkdale next to where he was already farming, and that allowed him to have more expansion opportunities for us kids to work and see if we really, wanted to do that. And it allowed our crew to work more full time. There was so many benefits. And honestly, one of like the best times in my life. Yes, we were working so hard, but like as a family. And it was really stressful, but I look back on that as like the best time in my life. I can't believe like what we accomplished then. So long story short, the fruit stand. So most of you know me as the farmer in Odell. So the farmer in Odell is my fruit stand business, and Out on a Limb is the farm business. So my mom started Cody Orchard's fruit stand. It was a 100-year-old packing shed across from Duckwall Fruit. Yeah. And so many people had such wonderful memories. They talked about how magical, like just the vibe felt in there. And I don't know if anybody peered through the pictures out front, but there was a few examples of what the barn looked like before my parents took that property over and what they turned it into. It's amazing. And that really showed me that you take what you are given and you work with that. And we did not like pour a bunch of resources into it. It was real. It was just real. No artificial lights, I don't know.
It felt like home, though, I'd imagine.
Yeah, it felt like home.
Yeah.
And have great memories. And I think it allowed my sisters and I to gain confidence. Believe it or not, I was pretty darn shy growing up. And the fruit stand takes a lot of time. Like, my husband can attest to this. So my stepdad said, like, hey, I am going to start to think about retiring. Like, do you want to continue this lease? And in a way, I feel like, I let go such a special piece of our history with that barn and that fruit stand. But my husband pointed out to me, if we had the opportunity to purchase his grandpa's farm and have it be ours, that just made more sense.
And so together, you guys were able to actually purchase some land that was Calvin's.
Yeah.
And try this yourselves.
Yes, this is important.
Okay.
We spent 2 years leasing from Calvin.
Okay.
Again, to make sure that he liked what we were doing and that we liked, the acreage.
Okay.
Because you don't just want to jump into you know,
I don't, so tell me. No, is it
Okay,
pretty
so-
common that you'll want to lease it, kind of try lease to own or try it out
I
first?
think so. That's a big commitment to buy
Yeah.
land, and if it's really shitty soil,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
you know, like
I would say, especially from my grandpa's point of view, to make sure he was safe, to let it go, because that was hard for him as an older farmer. He probably thought he was never going to let it go. And when he decided to, he wanted to make sure that we could handle it. And I think he gave us a 2-year test.
So you're thinking it's a lease, and he's thinking it's a test.
yeah.
Calvin's like, I'm going to see what these kids can do. I don't know.
Yeah, and I mean, you can see that Calvin was a workaholic.
Yeah.
And it was a little bit hard to say, like, no, Calvin, I'll go do that. You can stay here. But honest to goodness, I mean, I appreciated his help so much, because he would just jump out there and change irrigation or run to the Dalles to go get boxes from the cannery or whatever. And this is the second year that I haven't had Calvin around at the farm. And Sarah, I notice it. Like, yeah, my days fill up a lot more because Calvin's not there as my like go-to guy.
Yeah. And Ricardo, your dad passed recently.
My dad passed. It's been over a year, about a year and a few months now, so things definitely have changed a lot for sure, but yeah, we're still chipping away at it, still doing it.
Can you go ahead?
Well, I was gonna say Calvin had a big part in Ricardo getting into farming, and it was Calvin's farm where like his aunts and other uncles would come harvest and get jobs and that kind of thing. So Calvin was very invested in the Galvez future and like helping them get going. And but I mean, no way would I have thought that Ricardo would have passed before Calvin. And it feels like we had a big loss. I mean, Calvin is healthy and living in Arizona, but not having him on the farm is a struggle. So you pull up and it's kind of like, oh, my buddy's not here.
Yeah.
And same at the Allen Road farm, you still look for the gravel to hear Ricardo's truck pull up, and it's just so weird to not see him in the shop doing all the background stuff. And so unfortunately, my husband Ricardo has had a lot more fall on his shoulders because we lost two
big.
Yes, very big helpers, and just they know, like when you come up and look that super tired, they understood that, and they knew like the little ways to help. So it's
Yeah, we lost 2 contributors for sure, and we lost 2 of our greatest resources to bounce ideas off of and to have reassurance that we're doing the right thing. Because those guys, you could just look at them and you would know that you're okay. You're all right.
Yeah, and they both came from a time where you just did it. You figured out how to fix it yourself. And again, like you made do with what you had. And now when a tractor breaks down, I'm like, oh. Now I have to go to a mechanic.
Yeah.
And Bubsy's time has been pulled very, very thin. So, and you're busy, and so sometimes at the farm, I really do feel like I am alone.
Yeah.
And
The first time Lisa agreed to talk to me for this, she was like, yeah, I'll talk to you, but we sort of agreed maybe it'd be best if I just go to the farm. And so our whole conversation was standing around a peach tree that had,
leaf curl.
It had leaf curl. So she basically put me to work while I was trying to talk to her and kind of. So maybe talk some about, this is a big transition for you guys in the last couple of years. How now are you dividing up the jobs on the farm? I mean, because we do have some images for sort of where you guys end up finding yourselves a lot.
Well, I would say one thing is for sure is Lisa is the social butterfly. So if there's anything that has to do with talking to people, meeting with people, networking with people, I would much prefer her take that job.
Should we show her dramatic cherry video?
Yes.
Okay, let me see if I can find it here.
She is dramatic.
This is a problem with social media.
Yes. Okay, I told Lisa, I was like, I'm going to pull some videos from your Instagram. Okay, here's Lisa being her social butterfly self.
Hey everybody, it is Friday evening and I thought I better give you an update for the farm stand. I really thought I was going to be able to be open this weekend, but at the last minute I got word that the sweetheart cherries need my attention, so I will be in harvest. If you have already made an order, then you know what to do, and for the rest of you, I will see you next weekend, fingers crossed. Cherries are just a roller coaster of a crop. It seems like as soon as you make a plan, that means your plan will be blown into smithereens, thrown into a million different directions, and you start over, fly by the seat of your pants. So cherries are a little bit dramatic, let's say. Much like myself. Ooh. Is that why I'm a cherry farmer? Oh, God. Anyway, hopefully the farm stand will be open the following weekend. Thank you for your support, and I hope that you find produce somewhere. It's important to support our regional farms right now. So thank you guys for getting out there and buying local produce. We'll see you later.
So, you guys are growing a lot of different things on your farms. It's not just cherries or pears. Can you give us a sense of all the different things that you're growing?
Sure.
I can show you.
So primarily it's pears.
Okay.
And it's just enough apples to be a pain in the butt. And peaches were always so dear to Calvin, so he planted too many peaches. But it's important for my fruit stand business. It's really, peaches draw people in. That's their favorite, peaches. And nectarines, and we were leasing cherries.
Okay.
And I'm so glad.
Is the drama gone?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was one of the things I didn't ever really think about it, but I was talking to some other farmers, and they started going through how different fruits have different sort of personalities, and cherry did sound like kind of the high drama. Pears were seen like kind of the steady Eddie. Apples.
I like the popular.
Yeah, okay, give it to Washington for that.
Yeah.
Okay, so back to your division of roles. Lisa sent over photos. She's like, these are just some other photos for maybe you might want to use. I just want to see if you can sense the theme here of what Bubsy does. So there's Bubsy with a wrench doing something. There's Bubsy and
that would be my uncle.
your uncle. Okay, so fixing things. This is a lot of the day-to-day for you, I would imagine.
Constant. I mean, that's just a rule on the farm is 10 things have to be broken. That's Bubsy cleaning out our water box.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
That's the OSHA-approved way to clean it out, I'm sure. Nobody tell anyone else.
Yeah, there's a running joke in our group of friends. I send a lot of pictures of Bubsy.
In sketchy situations.
Yeah. Sketchy situations. Over here, okay, so this was kind of important. So in 2020, I really didn't know that the fruit stand was going to necessarily continue after we left the old barn.
Because you've got a fruit stand that you sell to us, more retail, but then you're also canning things and you're doing some wholesale. You're just, it seems like you've got a lot of different revenue streams coming.
Yes.
Maybe it doesn't feel like that, but technically.
No, it does feel like that.
Okay.
And so Bubsy's great-grandpa, Jack, used to peddle fruit. He did not want to deal with packing houses. And so he would pick everything into like the old wooden crates. And his mom and uncle, their childhood was spent polishing apples to take to the flea markets to go sell direct to consumer. So Grandpa Jack had a cooler on the farm, and so with the cooler being on the farm, that's a huge asset, right? Fruit's perishable, so if you don't have a way to keep it cold, like what are you doing? You need a cooler.
Got it.
And so Bubsy worked his tail off to make all the improvements needed to kind of breathe some life back into it, because the cooler had sat not being used for that use for a couple decades. And so I was encouraged to apply for an ODA grant, Oregon Department of Agriculture, and they helped to finance a new compressor unit and fans and to redo the walls to make them wipeable and, so you can sanitize them. And this was, all the tin was coming off because they were the old nails, right? So just after years. So Bubsy was up on the roof, and he did all that work himself. All of it. And the biggest thing, Sarah, the cooler had big doors, but the roof line wouldn't allow a forklift to go in.
Uh-huh.
I needed a forklift to go in. How do you move all that fruit in? When you're picking into bins, so Bubsy raised the roof, and driving the forklift for the first time in was, yes! Like, all my problems are solved.
The amazing part about that was we were the first people to take a tractor with a bin into our cold storage. Up until that point, they had hand trucked every single box in and out since the 70s. So we got to do it the easy way.
I think that's the kind of thing you need to remember. When we were in the green room, this is the kind of story you should remember. Bubsy was talking about this feeling of imposter syndrome. Like, here we have all these generations before us who showed us how to do it, and they did it well. And what the hell are you guys doing? And I'm sure, especially in the last few years, there's been a lot of those moments where you feel like, what the hell are you guys doing? But you raised the roof. Yeah.
I have to give my husband a lot of credit, because the fruit stand looks all fun and, golden. It's a lot of work. And I am the face, but he is why it can happen. And I know that he does not get all the credit and praise. So really, if you've been to the fruit stand, like, give a thank you to Bubsy for making it happen.
Bubsy, he begged me to not have Lee stay tonight. He just wanted the spotlight to himself, so yeah, he's sharing. Thanks a lot for sharing. That was nice of you. So, do you mind, because I think going back to my ignorance, there's a lot of things I've learned since meeting you guys and Leslie and Adam about growing fruit, what it takes to grow a pear, what it takes to grow some of these different things, that maybe we can share some of your videos, and you can fill us in then. So we've got a pruning one, and I just want you to think take a guess at how many peach trees you have.
Oh my God, that's really hard.
Hundreds?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna see this video and think that times hundreds, and then that's only one fruit. And then bees, and then we're gonna hear you talk about second blooms. Do you want to
Yes.
set anything up?
No, I think that's a good chronological
Oh,
order.
good. I tried to do it based
Good
on.
job.
Yeah, okay, good. I'm learning things. All right. So take this times 100. This is pruning.
And that's just a quarter of the tree within the video.
And that pruning, I know from the Watershed Rock Opera and Leslie Tamura. I don't know if you guys know this. We all think that farmers just loaf around in the winter, right? There's nothing growing. You guys do, right?
I'm in Fiji most of the time.
Okay, yeah. Time out. I know Adam takes vacations in the winter, but I know the rest of you are working. Winter, though, we've learned, joking aside, winter is pruning time. So that times a lot. Okay, and then tell me about these. Well, you're going to tell us about these bees in the video, I think.
This is a chilly evening. It's in the high 50s, but when the wind blows, it's pretty cold. So I'm watching these bees struggle with the wind. A lot of them are just getting knocked to the ground. So it's really hard conditions to fly in. And then also, I think this bee passed away, which happens. Bees don't have all that long of a life, and they work until they pass. Hopefully this guy can make it back to the hive before nightfall, where he can be warm.
Tell us how the bees work.
Yeah, it's really interesting. So all of the pollination happens from rented beehives. There's a few different operations. So farms will rent beehives. And I remember when we were in Odell, I like bees. I feel very confident around them. And I'd have to move them out with a tractor after the beekeeper would drop them off, I don't know, like at 9 o'clock at night. So we'd drive down and then move the bees. And one time Ricardo's like, oh, no, I'll do it. Don't worry about it. A few bees started to wake up and come out of the little hive, and you should have seen how far he ran. And I'm not going to say squealed, but so we've learned to delegate those jobs. I deal with the bees.
Okay.
Yeah.
He raises the roof, you do the bees.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
And pollination is tricky because you have a really short window of when that pollen is viable. So there's been some seasons where it's been really hot and the pollen dries up quick, and you might not get the amount of pollination that you want. If it's too rainy, bees will not fly in the rain. If it's too cold or windy, that also limits how much time they can spend. So your pollination success depends on Mother Nature during those 2 weeks or whatever it may be.
And so you need to be watching all that and then make sure you call the rental bees in at the right time.
Yeah.
And every other orchard is doing the same thing.
Yep. And those
Okay.
beekeepers work their butts off. I mean, crazy hours to make sure that we are taken care of.
Did we always need to have rental bees, or did it be that we used to have enough and now we don't? Do you know that?
I don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
I mean, when all of these trees are in bloom, that's just a lot. So yes,
Yeah.
the native bee pollination, and not just bees, any pollinators, you'll get some success, but to set a crop to like be an economically viable crop, you need to have the rented bees.
Okay. And too hot, the pollen dries. Too wet,
Yeah.
bees are good. Too windy.
Well, a couple years ago, we had all that snow in April, and so the beehives had snow sitting on top of them.
Okay.
And I had never seen that before.
But maybe that might be a good segue then to. Actually, we can watch this baby. These are baby Bartletts. They're really cute, and your second blossoms, and then we'll go to snow.
Hey everybody, here we are at May 3rd and we've got a crop of pears on the trees. I don't know if you can see all these little baby Bartletts here. It's too early to start thinning, but what I'm going to be doing is going around and taking off these second blooms, and these guys are blossoms that are opening up a little too late. And so I'm going to be removing them so they do not get pollinated and do not give us what's called second bloom pears.
So you need to go do that to every tree.
Bartletts,
Okay.
not Andrews.
Oh.
Sometimes Bosque.
Okay.
Peaches, you thin hard.
Okay. And then the trees drop some too, don't they?
Oh yes, that's what's called June drop.
Okay.
So here it's just all kind of backwards. Bartletts, it would be awesome if they would drop themselves, but it's the Andrews that do the June drop, and you really want like all the Andrews that you can have. You want them to look like clusters.
Okay.
So unfortunately, we have to go hand thin the Bartletts off, and we hope that the Andrews stay set.
Okay. So next time you guys eat a Bartlett, I just want you to think about.
Yeah, so we're really hoping that the bees are out there pollinating, and then we remove a bunch of the fruit. But that is because consumers want a certain size of fruit. It is not economically viable to grow small fruit. So Bartletts must be thinned. And that is all by hand. It is just like this little motion of snapping off pear after pear after pear.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and if you look out over the orchard, you're like, how in the world will we ever accomplish all of this? Little by little by little. And that's a great life lesson. I used to feel very overwhelmed by a lot of things, and farming, just like yes, you're gonna have to stay busy to make this happen, but it's doable.
Why do you take the time to do these videos? Because I watch them and I'm like, I don't understand how you're getting this all done. Because you have a little kid, and you're making all these videos, and you have your market, and some of them are these ones where it's like, this is how it works on a farm. Why would you do that to yourself?
I think the fruit stand provided me with enough evidence that people did not know what was going on, that it really was just like, oh, the fruit showed up. Man, those farmers have it good. So I think I answered enough questions before social media was a thing. And this has been a very useful tool to help discussions start and provide food for thought.
There you go. Well, I will say I was curious about which video had been watched the most, and you were surprised.
I was.
10,000 people have watched this, 10,000 plus. Did you guys know that cherries can crack from rain? We got a smart group here. Do you know well, let's see, you sort of fill us in on some of the reasons what you guys do what you do.
Clouds in the sky today, and we are receiving some rain, which is bad news for cherries. Cherries are very permeable, and so they soak up that extra moisture, and it can cause cracking. So what we can do to battle this is bring the sprayers out and just pretty much blow dry them. And we will turn on the fans also for air movement to try to shake off any extra moisture. So keep cherry farmers in your thoughts, please.
Yeah, it's intense.
Divas, yeah. Yeah. What are some of the other things that have come up where, for us non-growers, we have either misconceptions or we just have the story wrong or we're totally unaware?
I don't know.
Is where to begin? Where to begin?
Maybe rephrase the question.
Well, let me share a story that I had shared with me, which was, and I think I mean, especially living down here and not up in the valley, you hear it all the time about, it's just so easy. I remember talking with Leslie and Adam about the challenge of your workplace is so public. What I do in my workplace, what a doctor does in their workplace, none of us see. But we can all drive by and point our fingers at you and assume you're doing something that we don't really understand and judge it. And I remember hearing a story where a farmer was spraying at night, and a neighbor was sure this was because they were doing nefarious activity and doing the bad things under the guise of darkness. I'm guessing a lot of you farmers are laughing because you know what was actually going on. And if you don't know, I could see how that would be what you'd assume. But at some point, the farmer connected with the neighbor and was able to explain that the farmer knew enough about the microclimates and the way the weather was working that if they sprayed during the day when the winds are blowing, that spray would have gone right onto that neighbor's house. And at night was when the wind was not kicking up, and so they could do the work at night and not coat the house. And so I think there's some of those things where we are quick to assume, because we've gotten so distant from what it actually takes to grow a pear or grow a cherry.
Yeah, I was actually curious, for those of you in the audience, how many of you have a direct connection to a farm? Like, did you have a relative who farmed?
Who might have, raise your hand if somehow you've got family connected to a farmer.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a pretty good group.
Yeah, that's great. Because unfortunately, as we move, like 1% of the population are farmers. So as our families move on and have more generations, we do not get to see how hard Grandpa worked to make this happen and why Grandpa had to make the choices that he did. And so we sit over here, backseat farming, if for lack of a better term, right? Whereas before you'd have a conversation, like, oh man, Grandpa, you didn't get paid because you couldn't put on an application for your cherries to help them not soak up the rain. That sucks, Grandpa. Instead of being like, Grandpa, you must be evil and trying to poison our food.
Do you get that a lot? Because I feel like the two sort of stereotypes I hear about farmers is, well, one, they're sort of dumb hicks. I mean, I think I mentioned that my friend is she's many things, but she's a tribal fisherwoman. And I remember one of the most memorable things to me that she said to me one day was, you know, when the hell was it decided, you know, everyone thinks fishermen and farmers are stupid, and when the hell was it decided that you have to have a goddamn degree to be smart? It's a different kind of intelligence. And that struck me and stuck with me, especially since, you know, I can't garden at all in a little tiny 6-foot plot. And I think that's one of the things that has bothered me is that you sort of hear sort of the dumb farmer stereotype or the evil farmer stereotype. And part of it's because we've gotten more separated. But how does that affect you guys as people who have come from many generations and are trying to make a go of it?
I wouldn't say that, I mean, I'm affected by outside noise, but just touching on kind of what you're talking about, like, just knowing the information you gave me about a farmer spraying at night, I've just recently sat in a couple meetings where there are chemicals for cherries that you should apply at night because the sun will start to break the chemical down faster. And so really the farmer is a chemist, and the farmer is usually very smart when it comes to how they're using chemicals, how they're learning about them, and how they're applying them. There are, of course, maybe the farmers that don't care, but amongst our peers, what I see are farmers that are doing their best to be very knowledgeable and smart about the way they're doing things, because we do know we're kind of under scrutiny. We're being watched a little bit closer maybe than our grandpa was. But many, many times there is a reason to why the farmer's doing it the way that they are. It's not just, going out at night because no one will see you.
And I remember, I think it was Leslie was saying, on the topic of spray, like, that's expensive, and it's a friggin' hassle.
Yeah, I'm not doing it for funsies.
Yeah.
And the most important is you don't want to waste it. It costs so much that you need to feel like you did the best job to apply it that you could, because otherwise you're just wasting your money. You're throwing it away.
And it's been really interesting. I just think it's another skill set. Instead of thinking that something is just bad, like the more that you learn about it, it's just another skill set to have. So both Ricardo and I apply at our farm and his family's farm. And I'm glad I know how to do it, and I'm glad that I have a little bit of that background. And I just feel more comfortable speaking with people too, and customers at the fruit stand, because I'm the one on the sprayer. I have a little bit of credit to, I feel like, to offer.
Well, I think another thing I remember is someone saying, the bugs don't know where your farm begins and someone's house, couple little ornamental trees that we have in our yard begins. And so you guys can do everything right. And if I'm not responsible with the one apple tree on my property, that bug can go from my tree to yours. And now you're stuck dealing with my misbehavior.
Yes, and I have kind of a sad story to share. We were leasing a place, and there's traps that are monitored for a specific pest called codling moth, and we kept being told, like, yep, traps are empty, don't apply, don't apply, don't apply. And we're like, yeah, awesome, this is great. And over the course of one night, it ruined our entire Bartlett crop. The amount of stings is what they call it, where the codling moth is laying the worm into the pear. I mean, just that one night we lost $30,000 in that. And that was really close to harvest. And then I feel super crappy because those pears are gonna hit the ground, which is where the moth wants to overwinter. And so you're creating a problem for next spring. So whereas if we would have applied 1 or 2 times, we could have saved not only the crop and all that effort and the money that went into it, but our employees would have had a chance to harvest those pears, could have gone to market, and we're not creating more pests that the neighboring farmers and ourselves have to deal with the next year. So yes, we want to spray less, but you can't just be like aloof about it, like, oh yeah, it doesn't matter. It matters.
That connection. Did you have something you want to say about that?
I just wanted to add on that I learned more that year than ever that sometimes skipping sprays is not in your best interest, and me and her loved the idea of skipping it because we don't want to apply any chemicals that we don't have to, but it bit us in the butt quickly, and we learned a really valuable lesson that if they say there's a chance that we're going to have a problem with that, we have to do something. We have no choice.
Well, and you guys, we had a bug talk a while back, and I learned a lot about how much OSU extension and you guys, it sounds like there's a lot of back and forth work and actually some pretty...
Yeah, so we actually work with Maggie from the OSU extension, and they have our site pinned as it's a hot spot for the brown marmorated stink bug, which is a not native pest and is now causing a lot of damage, and there are no natural predators for it. So OSU has been working on establishing a population of these parasitic wasps. So almost naked, or you can't see it with the naked eye. And our spot was where Maggie would come every week and deposit those parasitic wasps, hoping to build up a natural population around our farm.
Maggie, I mean, if you get, Maggie spoke at Sense of Place, you mentioned parasitic wasps, and she just lights up.
Yeah.
She is pumped. I want to show the cherry video,
Okay.
the cold, snowy one, but I think part of what will help set that up, we'll show that, and then maybe we'll open up to Q&A so folks can get in the conversation, is I didn't realize, and I've heard this phrase now, price taker versus price maker. I talked about in the intro. Is you have all the things you're doing in each season, and then you have your fruit, and you send it to a packing house, and they don't say, thanks for the fruit, here's your money. You wait and see what the markets look like. And that can take many months. And on top of that, some of what you've seen more recently is the effect of tariffs and the effect of labor. And so everything you're doing in that year is you're outlaying money.
Well, everybody else expects us to pay them, right? When you get your diesel your tank filled up, then we get an invoice. And when the labor happens, we have payroll. And when you need to fill your propane tanks for frost season, like that, none of that stops. And I mean, it just goes on and on. The inputs that we put in,
Yeah.
and we will not see payment for last year's crop until about the following August or so. And I don't think many people know that.
Yeah. And that as our stores, I mean, you sell in local markets here, but I would imagine the majority of fruit that makes this place tick is going to the Walmarts and the Safeways and the...
Yeah, like
There's
Sarah
sort of-
said, this is a very special place to grow pears. There's not a lot of places that have the right climate and soils and things going for it. And I mean, the packing houses here ship pears around the world for people to enjoy.
And you get well, if it's not that many people buy, if it ends up being these sort of big grocer conglomerates, they can name their price.
100%, yes. And they can say like, oh, we are tired of red pears, so we're not gonna buy any more from you. And then you're like, okay, what do we do with all these Stark Crimsons or red Bartletts or red Anjos? It's crazy how much say they have.
Yeah. So with that in mind, imagine you've gone through a year, and you're coming up on April, springtime, and we know our farmers start to get very busy. You finally are going to get to reap the benefits of all your work. And these 3 short videos happened over, I think, the course of 3 or 4 days in April.
Hi there. Not only are we dealing with snow on the blossoms, but today we started finding blossoms on the ground. Snow knocked them off. And we're expected to have really cold temperatures tonight, which could mean death for any blossoms that were still living. So this year is shaping up to be pretty stinking rotten as far as I'm concerned. Keep farmers in your thoughts, please.
Yeah, that was a double whammy because we were losing production, right? For every blossom that falls off, that's a potential pear. And then with the frost, you don't know if that's gonna kill the blossom or mark it up. And sometimes cosmetically marked fruit is less valuable. Like, I would rather it die than have to.
So then I think the next day.
Good morning. I thought I'd give everyone an update. We got really lucky last night and the snow cover stayed. You can see the nice fluffy snow on top. It did not clear off like they had predicted. So we personally did not run fans. We're headed to an industry meeting here this morning. I think we'll hear lots of discussion about what people are doing or not doing and learn a little bit. I mean, we're all learning from this. So thank you for your thoughts and concerns. It was helpful during a stressful night.
And then a day or 2 later.
Morning. It's snowing again in Parkdale. Not hard, but lightly. It's really frustrating because we had clear skies last night, so everyone was running frost fans from a really early time, and now the snow's coming in. And this is just really frustrating because we spend thousands of dollars at night, and then this weather is disrupting work that we can do during the day. So it's really inefficient and expensive, and I'm over it.
I forgot about these videos.
Yeah. I spent a lot of time last. The last one I want to show, because I think it can be confusing for those of us to drive by and see all this fruit in the trees and not understand what is going on.
I'm cruising through the cherry block right now that will not be harvested. It breaks my heart to see this gorgeous fruit. It would be less heartbreaking if there was a problem with it. Too much rain damage, some kind of mildew issue, but that's not the case. We've got one of the most beautiful crops that I've ever seen. Size, color, firmness, all those good traits are there, but it's not worth our time to pick it. The prices that they're offering us, we cannot afford to cover the expense just to pick it, not counting everything that has gone in beforehand. And these are premium cherries. Somebody is making money somewhere. It is not the farmer. And I understand that that's part of the game of farming, but this is feeling criminal. How much effort has gone into this crop, and it's not worth anything. If you head out to the fruit stand, I'll show you how gorgeous these are, and anyone who sees and tastes these, they're not gonna believe that this crop is worth nothing. Anyway, I gotta go, I'm getting mad.
So, I could look it up. Hold on. Let me look at my notes.
There was a few bad cherry years in a row.
That was Frustrated Farmer was July 27th, 2023 is when you posted it. So. Okay.
Yeah, that makes me mad just thinking about it still.
I'm sorry. I don't want to leave you mad as we go into Q&A, but I do want to give everyone a chance. So let me find our other microphone. Alex, if you don't mind bringing up the lights. We're also going to have, hold on. Leslie and Adam are going to be able to weigh into, so they both are obviously growers here. They both have family farms. You remember them from Grow a Pear. So if you have questions, they're also with Columbia Gorge Fruit Growers. So some of the bigger farming topics, they're here available to ask questions of.
Hi, so I admit to being totally naive about this subject. So with your Frustrated Farmer video, is there any reason you wouldn't just open it up to pick your own?
Yes, liability insurance.
Nice try.
Yeah, it does suck. And I mean, honestly, the amount of effort that would have to go into having a U-pick type of operation just was not in the cards for that year. I mean, I would say if I was 10 years younger, I probably would have been a little more open to that idea. But at that point in time, I wasn't.
One more cost. Okay, who else has something? Don't be afraid to ask the dumb questions too, because I have had a lot of dumb ones. Yeah, Rick. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say that in 2023, one of the other problems with doing U-pick that year, because we have cherries, is we all had cherries.
Yeah.
And so we could have all done U-pick, and you guys would not have eaten as many cherries as we all had.
Challenge accepted.
Thank you very much for this. This is really interesting and very entertaining, so thank you. Question though, there's a lot of talk about the snowpack in the mountains and how little snowpack there is. To what degree are you worried about that affecting your farm, specifically in the valley in general?
Yeah, I would say that there is concern. Our irrigation districts are well managed, and I think that they'll take necessary precautions. I mean, no farm is going to try to be over irrigating. With the challenge of Scylla that we had this last year, I know more farms are looking at overhead sprinklers to try to beat that pest. And I'm a little bit concerned, and I don't know all the technicalities, but I'm a little bit concerned if we do have water restrictions that we might not be able to apply that method of pest control. Adam, I don't know if you or Leslie know anything about that. Water.
I mean, we're just very concerned. We rely on the water from the snowpack for our irrigation, and there's none. So we don't know what's going to happen. We're hoping that the skiff of snow that's been coming the last couple of days will increase, but it's really just a matter of waiting and seeing and dealing with whatever we do have come irrigation season.
I do think it's important that we have reservoirs. So Lawrence Lake is a reservoir, and that's a little bit of a backup. And then Kingsley recently had a lot of additional work done to it to increase the capacity, which will help the west side lower valley growers. But everyone's going to have to work together to make sure that we can grow a crop. You hear horror stories of people being told to turn off their irrigation like the last little bit of growing time, and so yeah, good question.
I wanted to go back to the OSU extension. What is the bug? What are the bug specialists called? Etymologists? Oh, yes. Etymologists. One of the first things I feel was cut with the new administration was a lot of staff there, and I think maybe the main head scientists there all of a sudden had no people around them to help with all the work. There was the staff was cut a lot, and I'm wondering, were the people hired back, or what are you guys doing without that support?
I can address that. So when the cuts happened at the federal government level, the biggest impact to our local research station was actually at the USDA side, and they do post-harvest pathology, physiology work. Luckily, the OSU McCarrick side, they didn't lose as much staff, but the cuts are still happening at both the state and federal levels. So our local research centers, along with all of them around the state, are very much in danger of losing a lot of staff, and we rely on them for a lot. They're addressing the problems that we face here in this valley rather than larger regions that are looking more broadly. So the USDA side lost 75% of their researchers when that happened. They were able to get one position back, and so they are still trying to fight to restore the others. It's not looking very hopeful, but they're continuing to try because they know how much we all rely on the work that they do.
I just want to say, and I'm sure I'm speaking on behalf of everybody, I'm definitely touched by your story, and I really want to thank you for what you do. And we were farmers. We grew gardens in Wisconsin, and it was a lot of work, so I can't imagine what you're doing. But I guess my question for you is, why do you do this? Like, really?
I was afraid that question would come up.
I think I have kind of an answer. I think part of the reason that Lisa does it is she has a passion for educating people about healthy foods, eating healthy foods, the different ways you can enjoy healthy foods, and she has a true passion for farms. And for me, it came more from the kind of work I was exposed to when I was younger. That's the kind of stuff that appeals to me. My favorite days are the days when I'm left alone on the farm all day and nobody sees me. I love it.
It's very true.
Oh, thank you. We'll just throw it up to you, okay? Here, can you guys pass that?
I read in the newspaper about the policy changes and the discussion around Packer, but there was something in there that caught my eye. It said that Hood River price of farmland per acre, we're the highest in the state. It was like $34,000 an acre average or something. So I'm wondering, in the valley, are you seeing opportunities for new farmers or people that are being helped to get started like yourselves, or is there a trend towards mergers or families just buying farms out as they can? Just kind of where are we headed in the valley?
Todd, a lot of people think I'm an optimist. My husband might think I'm a pessimist, but I think I'm a realist. And I think family farms are in real trouble right now. I think vertically, I don't necessarily want to do. I always had this vision of having a relatively good-sized farm, and I would have a full-time cook on hand who would prepare meals, and I always thought I'd offer babysitting services, and we'd have a great time, and everyone would work together towards this common goal, and it would be a wonderful future. And unfortunately, our size of farm is not going to be economically viable. And we do it because we love it, but is that kind to us? To put ourselves in a different position. I'm not sure how to explain it. I mean, we're making a lot of sacrifices to do this, and yes, we love the lifestyle, and I will fight hard for family farms, but I don't think it's going to be a very comfortable next 5 to 10 years. I think we'll see a lot of consolidation. And we were lucky that we had the opportunity to purchase from his grandpa. And yes, it's a very small piece of land, but it keeps our foot in the door. So if somebody does want to potentially lease more acreage to us, we might have that opportunity, but we might look at the economics of it and be like, no way, we'll let somebody else deal with those headaches, is my feeling. Yeah, I mean, for fruit farm, you have to have so much acreage because, a tractor costs so much, and to have all the tools that you need, economically, you have to spread out those expenses. So it doesn't really make sense for us to have a 2-acre fruit farm. So hopefully that answers your question. Okay.
That's been one of the questions that I ask Adam and Leslie a lot, which is, as I've gotten to know farmers, and I finally drag out that there is some fear, and we're losing people. And I think a lot of us maybe didn't know we're losing farms because they don't always tell you, is what can I do? What levers can be pulled? And so maybe we'll get a couple more questions, and then you've got 200 people here who can hopefully walk out the door a little different. So what are the things that they can leave with, knowing what they know now and knowing you guys what would you like us to leave with? So. Okay, Kim, did you have a question?
My question is a silly question. So it makes me sad to make you, that it's being so hard for you, because I like buying local produce. I really do. I get really mad when someone comes to my house and they've got some bag with anyway. So what can we do?
It is such a tough question to answer because there are so many stressors on farming as a whole. I do not know what to tell you because, at every level, there are a lot of challenges. I think it's important to recognize and acknowledge farmers. And I think we all need to step back and maybe say farmers are not the problems, they're not the villains, and have open-ended conversations, right? Be a good neighbor and go introduce yourself and have a conversation with the farmer. That's what I would like. I don't want people spreading misinformation, and I feel like there's a lot of that right now. And unfortunately, just the economics are not in our favor at this moment. And a farm, like, right, that goes up and down over time. And I want to say, like, yes, continue to buy local, but what I am able to offer at the local level is pebbles in the grand stream of fruit that is coming out of this valley. So, yeah, so I mean, shopping with me or shopping with another local farmer, I think, yes, is important. Is it going to solve the problem? No.
Okay, there's one other. Yeah.
I know nothing about the Farm Bill. And I do feel like there's like kind of like a misconception that if you get sun scald on your apples that farmers get paid anyway, because as taxpayers, all this money goes into the Farm Bill. Do small farms get any money from the Farm Bill? How does it work for if you lose your whole crop?
So each individual farm can carry insurance at different levels. So like we might have a policy that covers hail damage or something other specific. In the last 5 years, there's been a lot of programs trying to funnel money back to the farms. So there was some type of marketing disruption relief program, and so like we received a payment for however they decide what that comes out to. Adam and Leslie, I don't know if you guys know much.
So, I mean, the Farm Bill as a whole, specialty crops are a very small percentage. I
Yeah.
mean, corn, soybeans, cotton, rice, those are your big players that the lobbyists and the horsepower to lobby, that's where the dollars go, number one. And then you start to get down to specialty crops, and then you have wine, grapes, and apples, which are ginormous industries compared to pears, and so you start to see how the pie gets sliced very thin when we get down to what's actually going to impact growers in this valley. Farm programs never make us whole. I would much rather sell my product for a profitable price any day than to rely
Agreed.
on a farm program. They get you back to 80% of where maybe you should have been, but they never make you whole, and so that's there's a lot of challenges there. I mean, yes, we need them when we do have disasters, like the one where we had snowfall in April of 2023. No, it was 22. 22 we had the snowfall, which is why we had the huge cherry crop in 23. But, and then there was a program that followed that for that disaster event. But we would have rather had a crop that we could pick than to have a freeze or snow in April.
Yeah, and as a farmer, it's really frustrating because obviously here in this country alone, we need to be increasing our intake of fruits and vegetables. And I think more people would do that if they could get it at like a great conditioned stage. So obviously closer is going to be more flavorful or whatever. Just having people be involved with their food, like have it be a family event, like make dinner and prepare that. And so there is that connection, like my grandma making the apple butter, just like those little things that you might not know it when it's happening, but later on you're like, oh yeah, I do have this connection with a farm because we used to get apples and make apple butter, whatever it is. And so it's frustrating because we have a good product. It needs to be getting into more hands for people to enjoy it. But the grocery store prices of like $2.99 a pound for pears is not what we are receiving. I mean, there's a lot of problems. And yeah, I want to see more people eating more fruits and vegetables because that is what's going to save farms.
Okay, hi, Lisa. It seems like there's a lot of good intentions in this room of like interest, but are there organizations that are like you are feeling happy about their work that people could get involved in terms of like improving pricing or just creating like better representation for farmers of all sizes?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I'm going to give a shout out to the Gorge Farmers Collective, which started up in 2020. And that was a great outlet for people to be able to buy extremely local products, which I do think helps farms of various sizes. I mean, through GFC, there's farms that are very, very small and then a little bit larger like me, and we're all able to have a more direct-to-consumer connection. So there are programs like that, and I think the work of like trying to get more schools or different institutions, I'm not sure what the word is, to try taking on more local product is awesome. And it's I've been really pleased to be a part of GFC from the beginning and try to offer what I can to encourage more of that, because I think that is headed in the right direction of exposing people to more food, healthy food.
Oh, well, I think one of the answers I got, and I encourage you all to stay and go out and chat with people, including Lisa and Bubsy and Leslie and Adam. One of the answers I got, because of course I hear there's a problem, and I always think, well, what would it be like if we didn't have our family farms here? And it's like, if they're not growing the food here, someone else is going to be growing it, and that someone's not going to have 2, 3, 4 generations invested in this place. They're not going to know the microclimates. They're not going to care about what our schools look like. So I certainly want the family farmers. And if we're not growing it in this country, then it's going somewhere else, and we have no say over.
That's correct, Sarah. I mean, that is really what it boils down to, is people are still going to eat, and so where's that food going to come from? Across borders, where we have less control over how it is grown, who is paid to do what, and a lot of other things. And that is, I mean, that's what will happen, is we will see more food production move out of the U.S.
So I think, the first step that we could all do was coming here tonight to learn the fun stories and the good stories and the frustrated stories. But then hopefully when you hear someone saying something that you know now is a misconception, or it's wrong, or it's not the full story, hopefully we can all help tell their stories. And I know the farmers are getting better at telling their stories too. I want to end on a fun note, so I'm going to give you guys a last question that's fun, and you can think on it while I do my last thank yous. And the question is, if you were a piece of fruit, what fruit would you be and why? And you can't say cherries, because we've kind of already identified you as that, so you're second fruit, okay? So think about that. While they think, thanks you guys for staying and asking so many thoughtful questions. I want to do a couple quick announcements. Next month, we have rattlesnakes, Shedding the Myth to Meet the Snake with Adrian Slade. That's on March 18th. We will have snakes at the show. So, just, you know. I also want to let you guys know that it's close to spring, and in the cycle of Sense of Place, that means we're opening up our RFP. So if you know someone that you think would be a good speaker, or you're that person, you can apply online. We get speakers in 2 ways. 1, you can apply, and then 2, we reach out to folks, because not everyone knows we're here and what we're doing. That's the next slide, I think, Alex. RFP. Oh, nope. Oh, no. Oh, my goodness. Okay, we jumped the gun on this one. But since Leslie also loves attention, I wanted to thank Adam McCarthy for coming. We'll do your Big Bartlett song at a future time. We're going to have a Farmer's Follies. And I wanted to also thank Leslie, i.e. this little kid right here, for coming and helping. And I wanted to congratulate her, next slide, with, because she's now also a cover model. Oh, we'll get there. We'll get there. I know you can do it. There she is. Look at that. Cover model. If you brought your copies, she'll be signing them in the lobby, okay? And that photo was taken by our own Kyle Ramey. I want to thank our volunteers and CCA. They make this all go round. They're the people greeting you in the hallway. They donate their time to help us make this happen. I want to thank MAI. For many years, you're here through the end of this season at least, and you're going to help us launch into the next thing, and that means a lot. So thank you. We'll hear from Aaron. We're going to make him get on stage before the season's done. Our sponsors. I also want to let you know, Hood River Reads, you guys maybe saw it out there, a great public program. They're giving away free books, and the one they chose is on the topic of family farms. I have discovered some of my favorite books and favorite authors through this program. It's so awesome that we have it. So grab a book. And then this Saturday, they have an event at the library with Adam's dad, Mike, Leslie, Lisa, I think Sarah Sullivan from Gorge Grown. And so they're going to be digging deeper into family farms and farms here in the Gorge. So that's this Saturday. Let's see. And then I want to remind everyone that Bubsy and Lisa brought jars of apple butter, which is applesauce cooked down, has no butter in it, I'm now learned. Tree Bird donated crackers and bread so we could have something to eat them on. Wacoma's out there with books. The Clemmy Fruit Growers is out there with all kinds of goodies. Talk about a good community. This is really awesome. Oh, and then I need to thank Kyle. I don't know, for our photo, we always do a silly photo. I feel like as family farmers, maybe we need to have like a family. You stand up. We do. This is our second silly photo. Bubsy, I know you're excited about this. So maybe we all kind of, can you do sort of like a tree, like we're a family orchard tree? Okay, does that work? Okay, thanks, guys. All right, and with that, before we send everyone out, what fruit would you each be and why?
Okay, I've thought about it. I'm a pink pearl apple because I look boring on the outside, but I'm actually really exciting on the inside.
Never in a million years would I have thought that you would have said that. But it is so accurate. I fell in love with you for a reason.
Date night. Date night's going late tonight, you guys. I'll tell ya. First round. We'll buy your first round. All right, Lisa.
Sarah, this is a really hard question.
It's the last one. You've got this. You do want to stick with a diva cherry?
No.
Okay.
I am also a little more complex than most people, maybe after seeing this, may think. I'm going to say a pear.
I was going to say pear for you, too.
Oh, interesting. Well, the beautiful thing is that there's many varieties of pears, and each person kind of has a pear, and I feel like I can insert myself into many different scenarios, if that makes sense. So yeah, I'm going to go with a pear because I can be enjoyed in various places and times.
I like that. Okay, thank you to Bubsy and Lisa. Thank you to all of you. We'll see you next month. Go get your apple butter.